Not even getting any color over here.
All that being said, this car is especially important because it really is a shop project. When it is done, every guy here will have the chance to take it to whatever show they want to, wherever they want to go. And when a new guy comes on board, I put him on the car to see if they know what they're doing. And
it's like initiation.
It's initiation. Put them on the car and see if they know how to hold the tool. Because there's no rules. So if they're used to following manuals and they can't think creatively, they will cry on this
And you
thing.
can't work at the creative workshop if you can't think creatively.
If you can't think creatively, you can't work at the creative workshop.
That kind of makes sense, actually. How did you know, though, that this was a skill that you had? You came from New York, and you told me earlier you were in marketing. One day, are you just like, you know, I'm going to go down to Florida, bring the wife with you, and just start doing this with cars?
It's a little more complicated than that, obviously. My mother used to describe me by saying, a creative mess is better than a tidy idleness. She would come home and I would have disassembled the washing machine and turned it into a go-kart. You know, she describes me when I was younger, I would walk around like with little jeans on, 4 years old, with pocket full of screws and nuts and bolts and razor blades, like for a little, so this is not new.
No. So it was just a matter of time until you found how you could apply it in a professional way.
Perfectly said. I was the only guy.
Thank you.
I was well said. I was the only guy in the world in New York with dirty fingernails going to a white collar job on a high rise. And I got to a point where I was like, if I'm having more fun tinkering than I am working, why not try? You know,
why not make your hobby your profession,
that
right?
Old blah blah blah.
Silver
lining to every cloud. You know, I love what I do. I've never worked a day in my life. All that bullshit. Whatever. I was very fortunate. I was very fortunate to have a skill that was in my body that I was able to finally realize outside of my body. Very, very fortunate.
And I mean, you've really realized it, though. I mean, we're talking about specific cars and kind of taking a walk around the shop, but some of these cars are like one of a kinds, and you get invitations to the most prestigious shows out there. Can you tell me about that? Like, how did that start happening? How did people start learning, oh, the creative workshop is where you should be taking your car? If you have something really rare or exotic, especially.
Yeah,
Don't be humble. Just give it to me.
You know, the harder you work, the luckier I get, that kind of thing. It's a combination of a lot of stuff. We're really good at what we do. We're very fortunate. I work very hard at making sure that we get our name out in the right way. It's not cannon shot, it's rifle shots. And you know, and in a way, I'm sort of an anomaly in this business. Restorers tend to be old, cranky men. and I've got a very different approach to things. And it pisses some people off, and it makes a lot of people very comfortable. So there was enough people comfortable than pissed off to make this into a business.
So what kind of places have you shown cars?
Gotcha. We've been very, very lucky. We've had some great clients with some incredible cars that have gone to some of the most magnificent car shows on the planet Earth. Probably most notably would be Pebble Beach. Pebble Beach is the Oscars, period, bar none, in the world. Second in the country, bar none, is Amelia Island. Maybe it's number 3 or 4 in the world, which is in fact what we're finishing that car for this coming Sunday. Right now, whether you can tell it or not, I'm freaking out.
This is him freaking out.
I'm so used to it at this point that it doesn't show, but freaking out. We have all been going pretty much around the clock now for 3 months, the culmination of a 2.5-year project.
It's go time.
And it's go time. This is it. This is the Super Bowl, and media day is over, and now it's my team in the hotel, knowing that on Sunday the light's going to be on. And that's what's going on. So we have gone to Pebble and Amelia and some of the local stuff. Like, for instance, we'll drive this into Tower Shops, which is the local Friday, everyone comes together.
Grassroots kind of thing.
Fuddruckers, and everyone gets a soda. And it's all good, man. It's all cars. It's all supposed to be fun. There's no right or wrong.
That's the community. That's the thing that exists with classic cars. I think that sometimes doesn't exist in other spaces.
And the thing which is amazing is that it's that very community. Most of the time, when you go to a Pebble Beach, everybody is so uppity about it that you don't really network. You don't really have a relationship.
You're not having any fun.
Everyone, you know, it's like their butt cheeks are so clenched together that no one has a chance to talk. But when you go to these little Friday drive-ins, everyone's so chilled out with their kids and relaxed, you get some of the best relationships that might not be that person with that, but their next door neighbor's got something that's been waiting for the right place for 30 years to bring it to. Tuesday, I get a phone call. Bob, my next door neighbor, said he saw one of your cars at such and such an event, freaked out. You mind if I can bring you my one-of-a-kind Duesenberg? Yeah, I can probably find space for it, you know, we'll see.
I'll move things around a little bit.
I'll move things around. I'll move the rat rod out of the way for you.
When you talk about doing all the research, obviously you are kind of contingent on needing cooperation from the community to find out, you know, is this really this car, or like how do you find that response from people? Because you are, you know, like you said, kind of on the DL. Only the right people like us know where to find you. I mean, do you find people are really responsive and helpful, and you know, handing over paperwork and showing you books or, lending you manuals, or people sort of like figure it out for yourself, hiding stuff from you?
I would say that by and large, the car community is one of the best communities I've ever dealt with.
I would agree.
Okay? Great people, great relationships. 90% of the time, it is, what can I do to help? And in response to that, you have to be very respectful to that relationship. If someone sends you something original, we will scan it, do whatever we need to do to archive it for ourselves, and then return it back to them immediately. There's none of this, thank you for sending your one-of-a-kind photograph to us, and 6 months later having them have to call you to remind you.
Yeah.
You just don't play that kind of game. Some people might, we don't, and that's how relationships get better and better. The fun ones are the 10% that are the real schmucks. Are the people that
just don't want to help.
That it just boggles your mind. It boggles your mind. And I guess there is a very small percentage just somewhere in between. And the reason why I just brought that up is, in this car particular, a guy had original moldings for this car. Obviously, he had a relationship with this car back in its history. This is a one-of-a-kind Abarth. I
don't even know what an Abarth is.
Italian.
Italian,
beautiful
And
car.
this is a bar find.
This is a barn
find, yeah.
But this guy had these moldings, but refused to give them to us. And now remember, there's only one of these in the world, and the moldings are only one of a kind in the world. So what the hell are you doing with my moldings? What are you doing with them?
What do you need
them
them
What do you need them for? For your son's moped? It wasn't that he didn't want to give them to us. He didn't want to mail them to us.
So you have to go get them?
It took us 2 years. He had to drive them here. Some point in my future, I will be down in Florida. When I end up in Florida, I will bring the moldings and give them to you personally. No. Whatever his name was. Bob, we need them.
We're trying to build a car here.
I'll send you money. No. Goodbye. Hang up. Not being a jerk, not being helpful.
Just doing his thing. Just doing his own thing.
Whatever crazy thing that might be. Sniffing glue in his basement. I don't know what the hell the guy was doing, but we got the moldings. So 90% incredibly helpful, 9% complete jerks, 1% insane. Now we have to deal with them all. So
tell me more about this car, because this is a mystery to me. I'm not familiar whatsoever. Italian, found in a barn.
Yep.
What else?
What else do you need to know? It's much like, is it getting better than that?
It's going to be pretty when you're finished with it.
Sounds like the last girl I dated before I got married. So
Italian
found in a barn. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Well, you didn't marry her, so I guess it wasn't that good.
Yeah. Carlos Abarth was a guy very, very famous. Very, very famous in Italy, very much like Edelbrock was in America.
Okay.
You had a Fiat, a Lancia, an Alfa Romeo, a Ferrari, and you wanted to go faster, you went to Carlos. Carlos would make things and make your car go fast. Became so famous and so well known that he decided to set off and build a couple of cars himself.
Not a bad idea.
Contracted with one of the most famous Italian coach builders out there called Ghia Coach Builders.
Okay.
Ghia body Chryslers are very famous. And if you look at some of those Ghia body Chryslers, the fender well is very telling. That square overhang that they do. This is one of the very first and the only one done by Ghia that looks like this car. Carlos was famous. The car is gorgeous. Ghia did it. It was lost forever, and no one really knew it ever existed.
See, how do you come across these? How do you find a car like this and even know where to begin with it? Is it serial numbers that you're looking at, that you're checking? How do you even know this is the car that you indeed believe it is?
Right. It's
a process.
Let's hope
I can feel it.
Let's hope we don't find out that it's not the car that we think it is right here on camera. All right. It's a process. There are people that know. There are historians. There are books. There are serial numbers. Some instances, no serial numbers. Some instances, it's a long lost photo. You pull from every corner of the map, and a lot of times it falls apart. A lot of times when you pull it all together, you're like, nope.
Doesn't fit.
That's what makes it so incredible when it does all gel. When you pull this from here and here from here and here from here, and you put it all together, you're like, oh my God, this is it. This is the one. It's like Indiana Jones. It's like when he pulls out the skull from Temple of Doom, and it's like, this is the one that's going to bring Shiva on top of everybody.
It's the sum of all parts. You're taking pieces from everywhere, and every once in a while, it all lines up. And
every once in a while.